Let's see, who do we have here? Oh, yes, we're being joined by my friend Jessica Milan Patterson. How you doing?
Hey, great to be with you.
All right. So, no on Prop 50. Tomorrow's the vote.
Yes. Well, the vote's been going on, but we're still getting out the vote through tomorrow night.
But we're talking about a constitutional change, right? A change in the state's constitution.
It's a pause in the Constitution for
pause.
sure. But as you know, there's never been a time when we have given power to politicians where they have willingly given that power back. But yes, in California, we have what we call the Citizens Redistricting Commission that has been in charge of drawing the lines in California. And they've had two redraws where they have done it over the last 10 years. And California Democrats are trying to take that power and put it with the legislature and draw new maps in the middle of the decade and essentially draw out most of the Republicans, not only the seats that we hold, but also about 5 additional seats that we would normally be competitive in, and have switched parties over the last decade multiple times.
Some of the so-called political analysts or political scientists, have warned Democrats that if there's an all-out redistricting war, Democrats are going to lose. So Gavin Newsom, trying to counterweight Texas, which has different laws. The first reaction to Texas was Gavin Newsom acting like they needed his approval to do a mid-century redistricting. They don't. So he's like, well, we're going to do it in California. But then other states started saying, well, we'll do it too. No, this game of one hand up the bat is going to be lost by Democrats.
I think that, what we're watching here in California is this comeback that has happened over the last 6 years, right? We were on a downward trajectory here in California for 15 years with our voter registration. When I became chair of the party, this is something that we really focused on. We got back to basics. We registered over 1 million new Republicans. In fact, there's more Republicans in California right now than there were when Arnold Schwarzenegger was governor. We turned every single district in our state, assembly, Senate, congressional, and every county more red than it was. And in that same time, Democrats started to dip with their registration. I think Gavin Newsom saw the writing on the wall, and California is not as deep blue as they would like it to be. The only way to stop what we were doing and the momentum that we were gaining here in California was to redraw these districts. And it's very clear from the people that signed on to this ballot summary, individuals like Nancy Pelosi, Alex Padilla, Gavin Newsom. These are all people that never wanted the Citizens Redistricting Commission to exist because it took away their power to pick and choose winners and losers. And really, the real losers in all of this is the people. Because when you don't have competitive districts in your state, that means that the elected officials are no longer accountable to you because they will continue to be reelected time and time again. It's bad for our state. It's bad for the country.
Well, what's funny is nobody complained when Massachusetts redistricted to have all 9 districts be blue, right? And what they did was they shaved off parts of Western Mass. Connecticut did the same thing. Hawaii did the same thing. New Mexico did the same thing. Rhode Island did the same thing. So there are no Republican districts in those states. So when they say, well, gerrymandering, we're supposed to believe that Democrats never gerrymander. I mean, if you look at Illinois, some of their district map looks like someone getting a colonoscopy.
I think the governor himself said it looked like
you can laugh at that,
kindergartners and had kindergartners draw.
You can laugh at that, It does. It does look like entrails. Okay, there you go. You're laughing.
In California, we have some very rural parts of our state. We have a county like Modoc County, which is one of the poorest, one of the most remote counties in our state. And it is drawn into the Bay Area with Marin County, which is one of the most wealthy and most urban areas of our state. And when things like that happen, you no longer have those voices in rural California being heard in Washington, D.C. And, the reason why Texas is redrawing their districts is because they were in violation of the Voting Rights Act and the 14th Amendment. Here in California, that's something that the Citizens Redistricting Commission takes very seriously. So we were not in violation of that. And that is why we have all communities that have voices within Sacramento and Washington, D.C., because that is something that is taken very seriously. With these new maps, many communities their voices are being diluted back in Washington, D.C. And so that's why this is bad for California.
Well, it's funny. Amy Fan West was on the program the other day, and I said, I said, the district you're running in actually does look like a map of Vietnam. It's like shaped roundward, like it looks like a shrimp. It's like, don't tell me that there aren't already gerrymandered districts in California.
Well, and certainly, like, the Citizens Redistricting Commission really focuses on making sure communities of interest, minority communities are heard. And that's why we have some of the most diverse representatives in both Sacramento and Washington, D.C. What is happening under Gavin Newsom's maps is they are, it's very clear, it's a partisan power grab. They are drawing districts that favor Democrats heavily and take any competitive district and make it into a stronger Democrat district. And that's why you see half of our delegation will be completely gone. But in addition to that, you'll have about 4 seats that we would normally play in and have gone back and forth between Republicans and Democrats over the last decade. Those are gone as well. We'll have one, maybe 2 competitive districts, both that lean Democrat heavy.
I'm looking here at the New York Times, the headline, Democrats need a win in the fight for Congress. California's pitch hurt Trump. Do these people think at all outside of Trump? I mean, their entire motivation is Trump.
They have one page in their playbook here in California, and that is to talk about President Trump. And outside of California, nobody is looking at what we are doing and saying, hey, that's what we should be doing. When you are number one in the nation when it comes to poverty and unemployment, when we have the homeless crisis, when we have an affordability crisis, a public safety crisis, and no one is saying, California, there's so many people that are leaving our state that we lost a congressional district in the last reapportionment. We are currently on track to lose 4 to 5 more in the next reapportionment in 2030. So no one's looking at California saying that's what we should be doing.
Well, you guys have a $12 billion budget deficit, and a lot of that is being driven by Medi-Cal, which people in the country illegally are allowed to access.
There's all sorts of policy issues here in California that California Democrats have failed on. And watching Gavin Newsom try and take a victory lap over this, it's like you might be successful in California, but that type of message doesn't work in the rest of the country.
Help me understand this. He's always out there. I mean, does he really think he's this like incredibly charismatic, slick guy that he could just point at other states? And I mean, he addresses nothing. He actually addresses none of his own. It's almost like there's no such thing as a failure in California. I mean, he was out there tweeting about what was it? It was something to do with Trump throwing a party. I'm like, bro, you literally locked down your state, then went to dinner without a mask on. You're in no literally he's in no position.
Laundry,
yeah, you're in no position. He wrote, Gavin Newsom. Donald Trump hosted a Great Gatsby party while SNAP benefits were about to disappear for 42 million Americans. He does not give a damn about you. And I wrote back, is this you, bro, during the lockdowns? So it's almost like the media is not keeping score for him.
So number one, yes, his arrogance almost gets to delusional levels. It really, truly is that high and off the charts. But 2, if you truly cared about those SNAP benefits, which I do, I care about people being able to eat. I care about people being able to get services that are necessary. I absolutely care about those things. Republican senators have already voted. Call up your Democrat senators from California and tell them that they should be voting to move forward and reopen up the government. It's not that hard. You have so much influence over Democrats across the country. Call up 5 Democrats and tell them to vote yes.
I don't know. I mean, I would be very fearful of a President Gavin Newsom, but I can't believe he really thinks his message. I mean, Kamala Harris lost all the battleground states. You have Carville saying everyone affiliated with the Harris campaign, and he's like, y'all got it, shut up, disappear. I don't want to hear from you anymore. Get out of the way, because They keep trying to say, well, it was the thinnest margin of victory. Yeah, but the blue wall toppled, right? The entire blue wall toppled this time around.
And we need to make sure that we hold on to what we've picked up over the last several years. We need to hold on to this House majority, and we do it right here in California. Not only do we protect the seats that we've picked up, but we also have the opportunity to build upon that. And we can't do that if Prop 50 passes. So it's really, really critical that all of your listeners that are in California get out and vote. We've got a little more than 24 hours to finish this off. The good news is with propositions here in California, we've been very, very successful. In 2024 alone, California voters were with the California Republican Party's position 89% of the time. They know that Sacramento Democrats have failed us. They're not going to fall for Gavin Newsom's gerrymandering. They know that they want this power to reside with the people, and they're going to vote no on Prop 50. But we need to get out the vote over the next day and a half or so.
All right, I'm not trying to put you on the spot when I ask this. Are there any numbers of who's leaving the state? Because the Democrats might think, well, it's great. Republicans are picking up and leaving. They're going to Texas or Tennessee or Florida or Nevada or wherever they're going. Now we don't have to deal with them anymore. I mean,
well, let me give you some data back on that. And you need to look no further than what happened with the 2020 reapportionment. In 2020, that is a presidential year. We don't typically do well on our down ticket races here in California. Not only did we pick up 4 congressional seats and a 5th in 2022, but when it was reapportioned and we picked up that 5th seat and held on to the 4 that we had picked up the cycle before, California Democrats actually lost a 6th seat. So Nancy Pelosi lost her speakership right here in California over those years with that reapportionment. So you're going to see a mixed bag, right? There are people that are leaving because of the values, and they're going to places where their values are appreciated. But there's also big companies that are leaving our states. And so we see that those big companies don't just hire Republicans, they're hiring Democrats, they're hiring independents. And affordability doesn't just focus on what your party is at all. Affordability, affects every single person here in California, regardless of what your party affiliation is.
I would just imagine, look, you take a look at New York City. I mean, if I were a Democrat, I'd be panicked at the number of people that are saying they're going to leave. Right? It's just not worth it anymore. You can fight the good fight, but there's only so much fight anybody has in them, and there's only so much they want to fight. If the state is just uninhabitable for some people, they're just going to leave and take their resources with them.
Absolutely. And that's why we got to fight to hold on to these congressional seats so those voices are still heard in Washington, D.C., and we can be competitive out here in California.
Yeah. All right. Well, the vote's tomorrow. I assume most Republicans are turning out to vote no. Maybe there'll be a low turnout and it won't pass. I mean, let me ask you that. What if that's the case? What if it doesn't pass?
Then our maps stay exactly the way that they should.
I meant more like Democrat freakouts, Oh,
we'll definitely see Democrat freakouts. The best news, though, is that this would probably stop Gavin Newsom. Not him personally, because like I said, his arrogance levels are so incredibly high that I don't know that anything would hold him back from running for president. But he certainly will not seem like a savior to all of these people with Trump derangement syndrome. So it's a twofer. You get to hold on to these congressional seats, hold on to competitive seats here in California, and put a little splinter in the side of Gavin Newsom.
All right, what's the website? Stop50.org. Stop50.org is the website. Tell a friend to vote no. Jessica Milan Patterson, thanks for joining us.